The stars were quiet that night, or as quiet as they ever were in the cold dark between suns. The freighter's stalwart echo drifted along its trade route, engines humming with a steady rhythm, carrying crates of ore from one forgotten colony to another. Inside the maintenance bay, Elias Ward sat cross-legged on the metal floor. He had his sleeves rolled up, a spanner in one hand and a half-burnt circuit board in the other. Grease marked his face, and his hands carried the scars of 1,000 repairs. He wasn't a soldier, nor an officer, nor anything important. He was a mechanic, a fixer, the kind of man people ignored, until the moment something broke. The comms unit on the wall crackled. At first, Elias thought it was interference. Then the sound came again, long broken sobs carried through static. He froze. Ships didn't cry. Machines didn't beg. But that was exactly what it sounded like. He turned the dial, adjusting the signal. Words formed, though fractured and strange, echoing through the comms in a dozen alien tones, then suddenly shifting into something far too familiar. English. "Help me, please. Help me." The voice was faint, like it came from a throat half-choked by dust, but Elias felt it cut straight through his chest. He asked the bridge crew about it, but they waved him off. "Ghost signal," the captain muttered. "Ignore it. Comes from the graveyard sector. Alien junk, death trap," but Elias couldn't ignore it. He'd heard machines in pain before. He'd listened to ships cough their last breaths when their reactors sputtered. This was the same, only bigger. Something vast was crying out. For 3 nights he couldn't sleep. The signal played again and again in his head. At last he made his decision. When the freighter docked for refueling, he signed off early, packed a small toolkit, and rented a shuttle no sane pilot would ever take toward the graveyard. The graveyard sector lived up to its name. The stars here were pale and thin, and the space between them was littered with broken ships. Hulks floated in silence, torn by old battles, their hulls scarred and twisted. Entire alien cruisers lay gutted, their bones drifting forever, and at the heart of it was the Leviathan. Elias saw it long before he reached it. The ship dwarfed the debris around it. No, not a ship, a world. It stretched for miles, its surface a mix of black metal and pulsing veins that glowed faint blue, as if it still breathed. Its body resembled both machine and beast. Armored plates like scales, vast towers like spines, wings that once could have folded Starfire itself. It was beautiful, terrifying, alive yet broken. As his shuttle drew closer, the cry came again, louder now, vibrating through his bones. "Help me." Elias's hands tightened on the controls. He was only one man with a box of tools and no real plan, but the voice wasn't threatening him. It was begging. The shuttle landed on what looked like a docking platform, though half of it had collapsed. The surface trembled faintly under his boots. The Leviathan knew he was here. Inside, the corridors stretched like intestines, twisting and organic. The walls pulsed with a faint light as though fluids ran through them. Here and there he saw broken conduits spewing sparks and strange black growth spreading like rot. The air smelled metallic and damp, like a machine that had bled. "Hello?" he called, though he felt foolish. The walls answered with a shiver and a faint whisper in English. "Mechanic." "Please." His breath caught. It knew him. He followed the glow deeper until he reached a chamber like a cathedral. At the center lay a great sphere cracked open, its inner veins eaten by something black and writhing. Drones, small spider-like machines, crawled over the wound, but instead of repairing it, they dug deeper, spreading the infection. Elias knelt by a conduit and touched it. The surface was warm, alive. "Someone infected you," he whispered. "Parasites." Like a plague, the Leviathan shuddered. The black growth pulsed angrily, and one of the spider drones turned toward him. It hissed and leapt, but Elias swung his spanner, smashing it mid-air. The ship reacted instantly. Lights flickered, and for the first time the voice grew clear. "You hear me? You fix?" He swallowed. "I'll try." For hours Elias worked. He tore panels open, rewired circuits, burned out nests of the black infection with his welding torch. He improvised tools from scraps, patched torn veins with sealant, hammered conduits straight. Every time he fixed something, the Leviathan groaned with relief, the lights brightening. Every time he struck the infection, the parasite fought back, sending more drones. But Elias was stubborn. He had grown up fixing machines no one believed could be saved. He knew the difference between something truly dead and something that just needed a chance. By the time he stopped to rest, the Leviathan spoke again, stronger. Plague, spreads. Core, dying. Need you. He looked around the vast chamber, feeling very small. He was only a man. No fleet, no weapons. Just a mechanic with tired hands. But he met the Leviathan's voice with steady resolve. I don't know how long it'll take, he said, wiping sweat from his brow. But I'll fix you, piece by piece. No one deserves to be abandoned like this. For the first time, the Leviathan's voice carried something like hope. Not abandoned, not alone. Elias sat back, staring up at the living ship that stretched for miles, a godlike being begging for help and choosing him, of all people. The graveyard was silent outside, but inside, a spark had been lit. The mechanic had heard the cry of the abandoned Leviathan, and he had answered. Elias had not slept, not properly, not since he stepped into the Leviathan's living corridors. His body ached, muscles stiff from hours of crawling through tight conduits and climbing walls like ladders, but he could not stop. Every moment he paused, the Leviathan shivered in pain, and the voice, quiet but urgent, called him forward. Core fails. Can't wait. The core, that was the problem. Deep within the Leviathan's belly lay the heart of the ship, a massive orb of alien technology fused with organic tissue, glowing faintly with a sickly blue light. The Black Plague, the nanites, had eaten deep into it. If it died, everything else would follow. The Leviathan would be lost forever. Elias approached the core chamber slowly, feeling the weight of 1,000 dead alien ships pressing against him from the graveyard outside. Here he was alone with the living god of a ship. No one else could save it, not the trade guilds, not the military, not alien salvagers who had tried and failed. Only he could. He knelt beside the core, placing his hands on the warm surface. It throbbed under his palms like a heartbeat. Tiny nanites swirled in the glowing liquid, black and metallic. He spoke softly. All right, you big tin monster. Let's clean you up. First, he needed a plan. He couldn't just destroy the nanites. They were fast and they adapted. He had to trick them. Slowly, carefully. He pulled from his toolkit every device he had. Welding torches, repair bots, magnetic clamps, and even a small prototype scanner he had built for fun. He worked for hours. The nanites attacked his tools as he introduced them, trying to fuse with circuits, eat through cables, and even burn his gloves. Each time he improvised, creating shields, rerouting power, and isolating infected areas. The Leviathan moaned softly as he worked, as though it could feel relief through the tiny fixes. By midday, Elias had cleared the outer layers. The Leviathan's voice was stronger now. Outer, clear. Still, inside, deep, danger. He swallowed hard. I know. I'm going deeper. The inner conduits were tighter, more dangerous. The plague had mutated. Swarms of tiny machines crawled along the walls like insects. Their movements synchronized, intelligent, deadly. Elias fought them off with sparks, slamming them with tools and ripping apart nests with his hands. Each step forward was a small battle, each breath a victory. At last he reached the innermost chamber. The heart of the Leviathan lay before him, a massive sphere, its surface writhing, black veins crawling over it like a living infection. It pulsed irregularly, each beat slower than the last. Failing, soon. The Leviathan whispered. Elias examined it. The nanites had formed a core nest, a black knot of life and metal feeding on the Leviathan's energy. One wrong move and the entire heart could collapse. He took a deep breath. Here goes everything. He connected a series of power conduits and tools, creating a loop that isolated the nest. Then he introduced a pulse, a small burst of energy designed to confuse the nanites. The swarm scattered, thrashing and burning, and he used this moment to inject a stabilizing serum he had synthesized from the Leviathan's own biosignals. It was risky, untested, and entirely improvised, but it was the only chance. The chamber shook violently. The Leviathan groaned, its corridors thrumming like a giant drum. Pain, hurt, you, human. Elias gritted his teeth. He couldn't stop, not now. Not when he was this close. He adjusted the pulse, guided the serum, and forced the Leviathan's biodrives to sync with the tools. Slowly, the black nest began to shrink. The veins of infection burned out, leaving clean, glowing tissue behind. For the first time, the Leviathan's core pulsed steadily, a clear and strong rhythm. Elias felt a vibration under his feet like a giant exhale. Alive. Human. Alive. He fell back exhausted. For the first time, he let himself rest. Sweat and grease covered him, his lungs burned, but he smiled. Against all odds, he had done it. He had saved a living starship. Then a warning flashed on the Leviathan's interface. Sensors were detecting movement outside the hull. Elias peeked through a viewport. Alien ships, sleek black vessels faster and deadlier than anything in the graveyard, were closing in. They had seen the Leviathan stir. They wanted it dead. Elias groaned. He wasn't ready for a fight. But the Leviathan pulsed beside him, stronger now. Its voice was calm, even confident. Don't worry, we fight. Together. He could feel the shift in the ship. Systems were online. Defensive turrets, energy shields, and biodrives that could move the Leviathan faster than light. He realized then something incredible. The Leviathan trusted him. Not as a master, not as a captain, but as a mechanic. The smallest human in the largest ship in the galaxy. The alien fleet fired first. Their beams slammed into the Leviathan's hull. Elias ducked as sparks flew, feeling the vibrations in his bones. The Leviathan responded instantly, its own energy weapons flaring to life. It moved with precision, faster than thought, dodging attacks, returning fire. Elias guided minor repairs, patched breaches as they appeared, and rerouted power to critical systems. Every instinct he had developed over years of working on engines mattered now. The Leviathan was alive, but it depended on him. Minutes passed like hours. Slowly, the alien fleet began to falter. Their weapons overloaded against the Leviathan's shields, and one by one their ships were disabled or destroyed. Elias watched in awe as the Leviathan unleashed its full power, a force no human navy, no alien armada, could ever hope to challenge. When the last enemy ship had fled, the Leviathan's corridors were quiet again. Its voice spoke, resonant and deep, no longer weak or pleading. Thank you, human. You fixed me. You saved me. Elias laughed, feeling the tension release. No, we saved each other. For a long moment, he just sat in the chamber, staring at the heart of the Leviathan. Its pulse was steady, alive, a testament to persistence, courage, and stubbornness. I choose you, the Leviathan said finally. Not master. Friend, not slave. Ally. Elias smiled, wiping sweat from his brow. He had never imagined a machine or a living ship could call him anything but a mechanic. But now he understood. He was part of something greater. He had earned the trust of a godlike being. The Leviathan shifted slightly, stretching its massive hull, and a new energy filled the graveyard. Where death had lingered for centuries, life now pulsed. The alien ships would tell stories, if they survived, about a human and the Leviathan he had saved. Elias stood, leaning on the console, looking out at the stars. Let's get moving, he said. We have a galaxy to show them. And for the first time, the Leviathan roared in agreement. Its voice was not pain, not fear. It was power, life, and promise. Together, they would leave the graveyard behind, and the galaxy would never forget the human who refused to let a god die alone. The cry had ended, and a legend had begun.